Imagine spending your entire life inside a prison without ever seeing its walls. No bars, no locks, no guards. And yet, every decision you make, every risk you avoid, every dream you quietly abandon happens within boundaries you never realized existed. The strange thing about invisible prison is that they don't feel like prison. They feel like common sense. They sound like, I'm just being realistic. That's not who I am. People like me don't do things like that. Maybe in another life. We rarely stop to ask, where did these sentences come from? Did we discover them through experience or did we inherit them long before we were old enough to question them? There's an old idea often attributed to the writer David Foster Wallace. Two fish swing along. An older fish passes by and asks, "Morning, boys. How is the water?" The younger fish continues swimming. After a while, one turns to the other and asks, "What is water?" The point is not about the fish. It is about us. The environment we grew up in becomes so familiar that we stop noticing it altogether. The rules, the assumptions, the expectations, the stories. They are everywhere, yet almost invisible. The beliefs that shape us most powerfully are often the ones that we have never examined. Not because they are true, but because they have always been there. Think about the conversations you have with yourself. When something goes wrong, what does your inner voice say? Does it encourage you, or does it immediately search for evidence that confirms your worst fears? Modern psychology suggests that our mind naturally looks for information that supports what we already believe. If we believe we are capable, we notice opportunities. If we believe we are destined to fail, we notice obstacles. It's not that reality changes overnight. It's that our attention quietly follows our expectations. Imagine carrying a pair of glasses with slightly tinted lenses your entire life. Eventually, you stop seeing the tint. You simply believe that's what the world looks like. Beliefs can work the same way. Not every prison is painful. Some are comfortable, predictable, and safe. That's what makes them difficult to live, because freedom always carries uncertainty. Imagine someone offered you the opportunity to pursue the dream you quietly imagined for years. The first response is not excitement, it's fear. Not because the dream is impossible, but because success would require becoming someone unfamiliar. Sometimes, we cling to familiar discomfort simply because it feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. History is filled with people who challenge stories everyone else accepted as obvious. Explorers who crossed oceans despite being told it could not be done. Scientists who questioned accepted ideas and transformed our understanding of the world. Reformers who imagined society would become more just even when change seemed impossible. Their greatest obstacle was not always lack of intelligence or resources. It was the weight of beliefs that others considered unquestionable. Progress often begins with a single courageous question. What if the story I've inherited is not the only story that can be true? Tonight, I don't want to ask whether your beliefs are right or wrong. I want to ask something much deeper. Which beliefs have you ever examined? Which opinions feel so obvious that you've never stopped to ask where they came from? Perhaps the life you've been searching for doesn't begin with changing your circumstances. Perhaps it begins with questioning the invisible script you have been reading all along. Because the moment you become aware of the story, you are no longer merely a character within it. You become its editor, and eventually, its author.